What's going on, everyone? So, the Milwaukee Bucks are finally, after all these years, shopping Giannis Antetokounmpo, or they're at least taking trade offers per Shams and other sources. It's about time, right? So the Milwaukee Bucks, according to ownership and everybody, they want to get this done by draft, right? Which makes sense. You know, you don't want to prolong this in the offseason. You want to ideally try to get some picks in this year's draft if you can. We'll see what teams. Also, Giannis is going to have a lot of say. Giannis is going to have a lot of power. He's going to have a lot of just sway in where and how he wants these things to go. But if you're a team, right? Like the number one priority is like, hey, does Giannis want to be here and is going to resign? And then from there, what do you have to give up while making it make sense, right? Like that's the biggest thing. It has to make sense for Milwaukee. It has to make sense for the team that trades for him, and it has to make sense for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right? Like you gut your team to go get Giannis, and it's like I might as well just stay in Milwaukee. Then there's no point in even trading for Giannis, right? So there's only so many teams I think that actually make sense, and we'll see. Right? Like once the playoffs is over, the things will be a lot clearer, right? Team like Cleveland, do they go like, ooh, hey, let's just swap Evan Mobley for him, right? Like, team like the Knicks, if they end up losing in the conference finals again, it's like, do we just go all in for Giannis, right? If San Antonio loses to OKC in the conference finals, do they just go like, all right, let's just go get Giannis, and we'll have we could win this championship, right? There's so many things that could change based on how these playoffs go. Does Detroit go like, hey, let's go add a Sir Thompson to a package and go get Giannis, right? Like, and now you got Cade and Giannis and Duran and all this stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, you never know what's going to happen. You also never know what teams Giannis might be willing and interested in going to. Like right now it's like the Knicks or, you have like Miami that are linked to. Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to be linked to him. Lakers, right? Like, you're going to have a ton of teams that are linked to him, but how many teams realistically can get him? The Warriors are going to want him, right? Do the Bucks go like, yeah, that's what we want, right? Lakers want him. Lakers can put together a very unique package compared to everyone. Like everyone's like, oh, Lakers don't have enough assets. The assets aren't what's valuable to Milwaukee, right? What's valuable is the Lakers' ability to pretty much take on most, if not all, of Giannis's contract. That's the key, because then they have this like huge trade exception and clear the space that they can now do like what Brooklyn and stuff has done, to where if they play their cards right and they do it the right way, they could end up with more assets and players and stuff than any other route, right? You go have, let's say they just give like Jared Vanderbilt, Jake LaRavia, and you probably have to throw in a Dude Theoro, a few things like that. But let's say Lakers absorb $30 million of Giannis's salary, then at that point you could look at it, or maybe throw in a Miles. So you go, hey, you got to take Miles Turner too, and you just like salary dump both of those guys to the Lakers, and now you have like 40 million, 50 million, whatever, and you just like go find that team that's willing to do a Michael Porter Jr. situation where it's like, hey, here's a first plus an all-star level player, because there's always that guy like that. There's always, with this new CBA, teams are going to be wanting to get off. I mean, you might be able to get a Cam Johnson for a first and then turn around and trade him to another team for a first or a couple seconds, right? Right there's 2 firsts just for, doing that trade. Plus you're going to get 3 firsts from the Lakers and all this other stuff, right? So that's kind of one of the arguments for the Lakers, for those that are wondering. But again, that doesn't mean it's realistic. And does Giannis want to go there? Right? Like Lakers, Bucks could be like, yeah, that's a great package. Right? That sounds like a great idea. But if Giannis like, I don't want to go to Lakers, well, then there goes that. If he's like, I don't want to go to the Heat, well, then there goes that. Because he's going to, again, teams aren't going to want to sell the farm for Giannis and then he just leaves next year. Right? Like they're going to want to be sure that he gets that long-term contract. But it's good that this is finally going to be over with, right? This is good that we're not going to have to like prolong this thing and drag this out and like, because that's the problem. Like any of these teams, you want to go into the offseason with Giannis because then now you have the time to kind of work it out. And if you're the Bucks, you want to go into the offseason without Giannis so you can work out what you need to work out and start like figure out what direction are we going to go with this team and start trading other guys if you're going to go the rebuild route and stacking assets and just, getting the best return possible and seeing like, are there other trades that we can get into? Are there things that we can do? Right? Like, so you want to kind of, all sides, I'm sure, want to get this done sooner rather than later. And I'm sure Giannis wants to get this done sooner rather than later because the sooner he gets this done, the sooner he can make the adjustments and the plans and the things that he needs to do in order to get assimilated to that new team, that new organization, right? His family being in Greece and all that stuff, right? Like there's so much that needs to happen. But step one was, Milwaukee coming to the realization like, hey, we should probably trade Giannis. Right? That was the biggest hurdle. That was like the biggest obstacle because it's just, they're a team that just hasn't wanted to do that. They're a team that just hasn't wanted to budge in that regard. And it's like, well, now you can, right? So here you go. Congratulations. So, we're hopefully going to see that within the next month. There's going to be a ton of Giannis rumors and speculation. I mean, there already has been basically last year. There's just been nonstop, like it's like every other day. There's like some news about Giannis. Most of it is just kind of rehashed from the previous report, but this feels like it's the end. Which again, everyone kind of move on. Everyone kind of do their thing. I'm curious to see where he's going to go, and depending on where he goes, does it even make a factor? Does it even matter? Like again, you go. They'll just use the Lakers as an example, right? Say Luka and Giannis. Yeah, on paper, that's ridiculous. But like, are you going to be able to round out your depth? And, what did you have to give up? And, it's just, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's going to be interesting. But anyways, always, this is a discussion. Past question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else, we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.